ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितमेन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं गुरो शिवतुपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथं मितं तां सजीवं साहदैतं साधुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललितां श्रीविशाखावितां हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाशादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। Welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita as it is. Right now, we are discussing chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. And we completed shloka number 34 last week. And this, this shloka from 33 to 37 mainly focuses on dealing with mind, which is the main obstacle. And Arjuna is asking um, question to Krishna, and Krishna is trying to answer this question. And Krishna not twice answers this question, and Arjuna gets convinced. Then he asks some more questions further to clarify his mind, and the discussions goes deeper. With this note, let us go to the shloka number 35, 6th chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Grihyate. Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Krishna first empathizes with Arjuna. He says, Asamshayam Mahabaho, Mano Durnigraham Chalam. Asamshayam means undoubtedly, Mahabaho, O mighty armed one. Mana, the mind. Durnigraham, difficult to curb. Chalam, flickering. So it is very difficult to control the mind which is flickering. Srila Prabhupada translates, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. When a disciple expresses his inability, his weakness, spiritual master has to sympathize with him. If a disciple says that I am getting angry very easily, spiritual master cannot say, you are practicing Krishna conscious for 10 years, you are not able to curb this anger. Spiritual master cannot do like this. If you are not able to control your anger, you are fallen. If that is the next statement, if spiritual master tells, this comment will dishearten the disciple. You are practicing Krishna conscious for last 10 years, you are not able to control your anger, then you are fallen. This comment will dishearten the disciple. Therefore, it is important that we encourage the disciple. For the first, we need to empathize. Sympathy happens when spiritual master is at a higher level than the disciple. However, when spiritual master empathizes, he comes down to help the disciple. Srila Prabhupada empathized with his disciples. That is why he came to the level of Madhyamadikari and therefore helped to spread the Krishna conscious movement. At sympathy level, movement cannot progress. Only when we empathize, it comes down. Srila Prabhupada came down because he empathized with his devotee and hence helped his disciples spread Krishna conscious movement. We can easily help children obey our words when we, as parents, kneel down at their height and speak to them. This way, they feel empathized. They feel that they can open up. If the parent is always standing up, a child being smaller physically, also, there will be a huge barrier of communication, and the child will not open up. So, this barrier does not open up the communication. Krishna consciousness is very lofty. Therefore, it is necessary to make it approachable to people by having empathy for them. We need to introduce Krishna conscious at their level, and then as they grow, Krishna conscious also will grow. They will get deeper understanding. The person will get deeper understanding of Krishna consciousness. This does not mean we compromise. We tell what is required, and the disciple has to take time. The new devotee has to take time and grow in that. If he is taking time more than what is practically required, then we need to remind him that this is not the right way to practice Krishna consciousness. But this feedback has to be given, because giving right feedback is for the betterment of the new devotee. Krishna is telling here to Arjuna that it is difficult, but it is not impossible. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena cha grihiyate. It is possible by abhyasena, by practice, vairagena, by following detachment. It is possible by practice and by detachment. The terms used by Krishna, abhyasena and vairagena, are generic. These words are not specific to Bhakti Yoga. It can be also Ashtanga Yoga. It can be also Dhyana Yoga. The question from Arjuna was how to control the mind, which by itself is a generic question. Thus, answer from Krishna also is general. That is practice and detachment. These principles of practice and detachment is applicable in all transcendental paths. These are like do's and don'ts in any medical treatment. If an athlete has a fracture, the doctor advises him to practice only specific moves and detach himself from the athletic practice. In the Bhakti Yoga, how we can apply this? Abhyasena and Vairagena. We practice to bring the mind again to do the specific activity. We detach ourselves from things which agitate our mind and senses disproportionately. However, we may also think it is only because of mind that I am not able to practice, I am not able to apply detachment in my life. That is why we follow a procedure or process, no, or a process. And that is why there is a process in place. That process is process of Bhakti Yoga. A person who has fracture in his leg has to follow a procedure to start walking so that he will become normal. In the beginning, walking itself will be very difficult, very challenging, very painful. However, it is necessary that he does practice session, does some exercise so that the specific muscle becomes normal, specific bone becomes normal, and the person starts walking. Initially, the person walks few steps with great difficulty and great pain. This slow practice helps him to gradually increase in strength, and after some time, the person starts walking normally. The mind is uncontrolled. When I am chanting, mind is uncontrolled. However, it is important that we continue chanting so that mind becomes controlled. Mind becomes free from entanglement. Not chanting is not the way. The level of control gradually increases. At the start, the control will be minimum, and then gradually we move to full control. Then comes Vairagyena. There are some activities which are undesirable. By doing these activities, we get entangled. We get ceaselessly entangled. Thus, we are not interested, and hence, we are not interested in getting entangled, and hence we remain detached. Vairagyena cha grihiyate. Vairagyena cha grihiyate means can so be controlled. By abhyasena and yogena, one can steadfast in spiritual life and control the mind. Srila Prabhupada writes, this attachment is called Paresha Anubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction an angry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one he eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is an appropriate diet for suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this shloka where this Paresha Anubhava is explained. Bhakti Paresha Anubhavo Viraktir Anyatra Chaisa Trika Eka Kalaha Prapadyamanasya Yatasnatah Yatana Yatasnata Syus Tusti Shud Apayo Anukasam Bhakti Pareshana Bhavo Virakti Anyatra Chaisatrika Eka Kalaha Prapadyamanasya Yatasnatasyas Tusti Pusti Shud Apayo Anughasam. Devotion, direct experience of Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things, these three occur simultaneously for one who has taken the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger comes simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. When we fix mind on Krishna, these three things happen. Our anchoring goes away. There is anchoring for so many things. When we get Krishna, we do not need anything. Then we get taste. We feel it is so nice to be along with devotees. Then we attend Mangalarti. With this taste, we get confidence, and then we face we can face many challenges in our life without much agitation. And now, what happens is Krishna further elaborates this topic in the next shloka, shloka number 36. Asamyatmano yogo dushprapa iti me mati vasyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptum upayataha. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Krishna here is encouraging Arjuna without compromising. If you cannot control the mind, you cannot attain perfection. That is a direct statement. This requirement has to be met by Arjuna. That is, then Krishna is encouraging Arjuna. This process is the right process. If you follow this, Krishna is telling to Arjuna that this process is the right process. If you follow this, you will attain success in controlling mind. Vashyatma tu yatata. Keep practicing and you will achieve it. So, what is this process Krishna is talking about? Krishna will talk about this later in Bhagavad Gita. He does not directly talk about the process here. In 8th chapter, of Bhagavad Gita, there will be a direct contrast between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, and Krishna will prescribe Bhakti Yoga. If you see Shloka number 8.14, Ananya Cheta Satatam Yoma Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha Tasyaham. That means to him I am Sulabha, very easy to achieve. Who without deviation of mind, always one who is remembering Krishna, he can easily obtain Krishna. For one who always remember me, one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So Krishna here talks about Bhakti Yoga, but we get the detailed information about in subsequent chapter. In chapter number 6, Krishna is just giving him a glimpse, giving Arjuna a glimpse of what is happening here. Okay, now in chapter 6, Arjuna is telling about his difficulty to Krishna. It is easy, it is not easy, like that. In entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling in here in the chapter number 8 that Bhakti Yoga is easy. Attainment of Supreme Lord is easy. How is this easy? The control of mind is done by remembrance of Krishna. This way, Krishna concludes the answer to Arjuna's question. So, in a two verse, Vishyat asamshayatmano yogo dushprapa iti me mati Vashyatmano tu yatata shakyo vaptum upayatah. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realized, difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled, who strives by appropriate means, is assured of success. That is my opinion. And in 8th chapter, he is talking about constantly remembering Krishna. In the two verse question or apprehension of Arjuna, Krishna gives answer in two verses. Krishna says, yes, it is difficult. However, by practice it is possible. Darkness is impossible to remove without a right process. By punching, pinching, hitting, we cannot clear darkness. Darkness cannot be removed by that. How we can remove? We can remove it by lighting a lamp in the dark place. Therefore, Krishna says, follow the right process, not some random process. We may think that we have lot of anarthas and by willpower we can win over it. Willpower alone is not enough. It is like I have a cough. I have a very bad stomach. I cannot cure my cough or bad stomach by just willpower. We need to consult a physician and follow his instruction, follow his recommendation. When we do this, then we are following the right process. Therefore, our health gets cured. Willpower has to be coupled with a curative process to cure the disease. Krishna says, Shakyam Vaptum Upayataha. Shakyo Vaptum Upayataha. Srila Prabhupada is translating, who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. What is that means? Is discussing that in 8th chapter. After hearing this, Arjuna is asking one more question because he wants to clarify his position. Let us go to Next shloka, where we see Arjuna's question. Ayati Shraddayo Peto Yoga Chalita Manasaha Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kamgatim Krishna Gacchati. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what is the destination of an unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism?" Arjuna had asked a question, how to control mind? It is very difficult. Krishna answered him that yes, it is very difficult, but it is possible by practice and detachment. Arjuna now thinks maybe the practice will take a long time. Thus, there is a possibility that a person starts the process and does not complete. There is also a possibility that the person gives up the path of yoga. This word or these words, Chalita Manasa, Chalita Manasa, Chalita means deviated mind. The entire chapter of this Bhagavad Gita, sixth chapter, is focused on mind. Though the descriptions are Ashtanga Yoga, but predominantly the focus is on mind and control of mind. Now we see that mind is pulled away from the path of yoga. So what does the yogi do? Arjuna here is asking a genuine question. Sometimes it would be, sometimes mind will be pulled towards sensual activities. So this is mental deviation. Here it is referring to a person who has completely given up the path of yoga. When we are behind the sensual activity, we have completely deviated from yoga. However, Arjuna is here telling this yogi is there before he attained perfection, he passed away. He gave up material life and took to spiritual life, and spiritual life is unsuccessful. And we see that Krishna is addressed by Arjuna as Krishna. So this is a very sentimental address of Arjuna. So Srila Prabhupada uh, talks about one interesting point in shloka number 2.40. Neha Bikrama Nashausti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swa Alpa Apiyasya Dharmasya Trahete Mahato Bayat. Arjuna has heard this when Krishna was initially talking about soul, then Karma Kanda, and then Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, and so on. At that point, he is talking about Neha Vikrama Nashasti. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. This section of Bhagavad Gita this section 6.37 to 3839, will tell us how little advancement in the path of transcendentalist path will protect us from most dangerous type of fear. This section of Bhagavad Gita, which is 6.373839, I think up to shloka number 45, talks about this, how a transcendentalist is protected uh, from falling into dangerous condition, dangerous situation. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, self-realization is sought by path of knowledge, by practice of eightfold system, or by bhakti yoga. Path of knowledge is jnana yoga, eightfold system is ashtanga yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. In each of these process, one has to realize the constitutional position of living entity, his relationship with God, and the activities where he can establish the re-establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. So the yogi has taken up this path, and he, by chance, he falls down or he passes away. What is going to be his destination? So he may endeavor Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. He may give up the endeavor, then what will happen to him? Arjuna further elaborates this question in his the next shloka. Kachinnobya vibrastas chinnabram iva nashyati apratisto mahabaho vimudo brahmanapati. Upratishta, without any position. O mighty Am Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like raven cloud with no position in any sphere? Arjuna is now explaining a metaphor from the nature, explaining the situation with the metaphor from nature. There are many metaphors drawn from nature, and it is described in Bhagavad Gita. Here, the metaphor is about the cloud. Let us consider two sets of cloud. One cloud is moving in one direction, another cloud is moving in another direction. Cloud is array of a lot of small clouds are there, and one small cloud moves away from the big cloud from one direction, from here to another direction, another cloud. That time when it wanted to move from this cloud to the other cloud, there is a wind and it disturbs the small cloud. This tiny cloud now gets blown away. One cloud is a worldly world of life, and another cloud is a spiritual, worldly, or otherworldly way of life. Some want to leave the worldly way and seek the otherworldly way, just like the Raven cloud wanted to move from cloud A to cloud B. Yoga Chalita Manasaha. Yoga Chalita Manas, which was told in the previous one, just like a Yoga Chalita Manasa. When these people in the otherworldly goal, with otherworldly goal, are unable to continue on the path to spiritual world, what will happen to them? Will they become apratishto? Apratishto means without any position, unsettled in their position. They are neither having a home nor they are having a proper shelter. What is the shelter? What is the destination for them? Now they are completely lost. Vimuda Brahmana Prati. They are become bewildered of transcendence. They are completely bewildered on their path to transcendence. They get deluded in the path. Therefore, we see that this is not an abstract question. This is a serious question. Arjuna is now trying to is thinking, if I follow Krishna's order, whether I will be able to successfully fulfill it. If I'm not able to be, if I'm not successful, then what is going to be my destination? Like that he is thinking. Now let us see. Etan me sanshayam Krishna, chetum harasi aseshata, twadanya samshaya sesya, cheta nahi upapadyate. Etan me samshayam. Samshayam is doubt. Samshaya sesya, twadanya, other than you. Twamanya, you, other, samshaya sesya, of the doubt. So who can remove the doubt? This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So Arjuna is asking a three-verse question. Arjuna has doubt. and he asks his doubt in 3 verses. This is significant, and we see similar question in 2.7, where Arjuna is addressing Krishna in a special position. Karpanya dosha upatsvabhava prichami tvam dharma sammudha cheta tvam dharma sammudha cheta yachreya shyan nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyaste aham shadimam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty. I have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrender unto you. Please instruct me. If you go to next shloka, nahi prapashyami mamanupatya etchokamuchosnam indriyanam avapyai bhumau asapatnam riddham rajyam suranam apichadipatyam. I can find no means to drive away the grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with a sovereignty like the demigods in the heaven. So this point is significant. Prabhupada says that material position cannot uh, cannot fulfill cannot solve problems of life. These problems of life will dry up our senses. However prosperous we are, we will not be able to solve the problems of life. We may be as powerful or as opulent as demigods, but if we have grief which is drying up our senses, that cannot solve the problem. Same way, same mood we can see here also. That is my doubt, Krishna. I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy the doubt. So the way he is surrendered in the second chapter, we can see the same mood. Krishna will answer these questions in shloka number. So Arjuna is asking question to Krishna in shloka number 31, 38, 37, 38, 39. And Krishna will answer this in shloka number 40, 41, 42. 43, 44, 45, and 46. I think up to 45. 46 and 47 is a special position of the Bhakti Yogi. So we see that Krishna answers this question and draws the conclusion of this chapter in the last two shlokas. So 6.40 to 6.45 is answer to this question of Arjuna, and then Krishna concludes this chapter. So we'll stop here. We'll discuss about this chapter further in our next session. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय। जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। हरि हरि। हरे कृष्णा।